Hello, welcome back to another edition of Road Talk with Cade. Today, I want to share with you my most ventured hiking spot since moving to Asheville, North Carolina. Being just a mile up the road from my apartment, it makes for the perfect spot for me to go hiking with very little barrier to entry. I first want to read to you the description of Bull Mountain Trail from All Trails, the hiking app I use to track my hikes. So here it is. Explore this 1.5 mile out and back trail near Asheville, North Carolina. Generally considered an easy route, it takes an average of 37 minutes to complete. This is a popular trail for hiking and running, but you can still enjoy some solitude during the quieter times of day. The trail is open year-round and is beautiful to visit anytime. Dogs are welcome, but must be on a leash. This trail takes you to Bull Mountain on the Blue Ridge Parkway. It begins off Bull Mountain Road, where roadside parking is available, and winds through the forest along an old paved road. At the trail's end, there's a large rock where you can sit and enjoy the serene atmosphere. Watch for eastern towhees, blue-headed vireos, red-bellied woodpeckers, white-breasted nuthatches, eastern phoebes, tufted titmice, cardinals, and other bird life. So what does that tell you about the trail? It tells you the distance of your hike, a little bit about the trail's foot traffic, parking situation, and some of the animals you might see while you're out there. After the lengthy amount of hours that I have spent on this little mountain, to me, that description tells you nothing about what you will actually find once you are out there. To start, I want to give you a little history of the trail and how it came to be. The farthest history back I know about the land is that it was originally owned by the VA that sits on the southeastern side of the mountain. The original idea the VA had for the mountain was to build housing for veterans to allow their patients to be close to where they could get aid. This is why an asphalt road was originally paved and still sits there today. The road switchbacks twice up the mountain and ends in a circular loop around the crest of the mountain. While you hike up the trail with me, you'll see that it's snowing. It ended up being the perfect day to go out and record, with a light snowfall the entire time I was out there, as well as there was no wind for about the first time in a week. So it was really the perfect time to be out there. So while we're traveling towards the first switchback, once you are here, you can either go straight into the woods or continue on a paved path as you ascend further up the mountain. I will continue to take the paved path for now, but later we will return to this dirt path into the woods and head to the west side of Bull Mountain. About halfway along the second leg of your hike, you will come upon an old water tower that is graffitied in spray paint. You can tell the water tower is empty by the sound it makes when you hit it. But there is no way inside that I have found, with all my time messing around with it. I have no information on why the thing was put there, but it is a nice little feature along the route. Before you get to the second switchback, there's a gravel road that runs north along the mountain's ridge. It leads to a small fenced-in pistol range at the end of the trail. The road also acts as a divider between the east and west sides of the mountain. At the second switchback, there's a stone labyrinth. I have gotten to speak with the man who built it multiple times, as he is out on the trails at least a couple nights per week. Behind the labyrinth, a second paved trail is blocked by many large boulders that were put there when the VA sold the land. Based on how the trail has fully been reclaimed by Mother Nature, you can tell that this happened many years ago. From this point, it is just a little ways to the top of the mountain, where you arrive at a teardrop-shaped loop that circles the peak of the mountain. Along the top of the trail, and the now blocked part that used to be paved, you'll find multiple areas where work was done to flatten out the land to start foundations of homes for the veterans that never came to be. Bull Mountain is now owned by the National Park Service / the Department of the Interior. We can just call it the U.S. government, but it was sold from one part of the U.S. government to now a different part of the U.S. government to be used for different purposes. But as of now, and I assume as long as America's around, it'll be a part of the Blue Ridge Parkway system. The parkway uses Bull Mountain as the launching pad to carry you away from Asheville, further into the mountains, toward Mount Mitchell, and beyond. Running parallel to the parkway is the Mountain to Sea Trail, a long-distance hiking trail that goes from the western state border of North Carolina to the Outer Banks on the complete opposite side of the state. Returning to the parking area to further explore the mountain, when at the parking area, you have three options of where to enter the forest. It used to be 4, but due to the hurricane, the 4th option is no longer with us. I already took you up the main trail, so now let's explore the MTS. Entering in from the middle option, not more than 100 yards from your car, you're at a crossroads. To the left is a shortcut that takes you up to about the halfway point in the paved trail, or to the right, which takes you to the MTS. As we walk right, we're going to arrive at the MTS, and from here we can either go north or south on the long distance trail. For the sake of time, I will run you through the southern part really quick. Going south, you will first find the 3rd entrance from the parking lot. Then next is a trail that leads north and carries you across the parkway. Once you're across the parkway, there are 2 different options of where you can go. The first one is basically no more than a rabbit's trail. It carries you up the other side of the parkway, so you're on the lower side of the mountain. But it's just a rabbit's trail that runs I've taken it for about 1.5 miles, and then it kind of just tapers off into 2 trails, and it just ends back there. Otherwise, the main route that carried you across the road from that point, you can continue to take that, and it'll take you at about another 1/2 mile further down into the holler, and it ends in just a couple backyards. I don't spend much time over here, really because there's just no options for randomness as far as I'm concerned. So getting back to the MTS, if you continue to take that trail south, there's a couple different offshoots that take you to multiple 1 or 2 car parking spots. Then you'll get to a bridge, and that's the bridge I get to ride under every time I leave my apartment. Beyond the bridge is a folk center that I somehow have never been to. And then past that, if you were to continue on the MTS trail, it would take you along the parkway all the way to the other side of Asheville. I said for time purposes, and now it's been 2 full paragraphs later, but oh well. Going back to the crossroads of north and south. From here, on the MTS, I normally go north. The trail runs about 3/4 of a mile until it jumps over the Blue Ridge Parkway and continues to ascend higher into the mountains. Along this leg, there are 3 offshoots that carry you up to the main Bull Mountain Trail. The first one is a clear-cut line that was made for a water main and brings you right up to the water tower that I mentioned earlier. The second is a snake trail through the woods to another part of the main trail. Then the last one takes you right up to the entrance of the Pistol Range. Near the very end of this leg of trail, there's another little offshoot that leads to the backside of the gun range where you can climb up the dirt mound and get a good look at the place. There was also a homeless guy living up there for a while, so I've only been up that trail once or twice just because if there's a tent up there. Don't really like getting near that, especially when there's a bunch of garbage and stuff laying around, but to Asheville you'll have that. Back to the main part of the story. There's also a man-made feature that I want to point out along the trail. This is a brick square that is dug into the dirt and has metal ladder rungs to help lower yourself into the hole. There are a few of these sprinkled around the mountain. From all my conversations along the mountain, no one has an answer to what they are, who built them, or what purpose they were put here to serve. Nonetheless, they are a neat little feature that allows me some curiosity along my hikes. As you can tell from the video, this part of the trail was just ravaged by the hurricane. On one of my first hikes back, most of this brush was not cut, so it was more of a jungle gym as I tried to make my way along the trail. As I came out of a pile of brush, I came out, and 25 yards away was the mama bear and 2 cubs that I frequently see on my hikes. 25 yards, however, is a little bit closer than I like to get, especially when I have no shoes on and didn't bring any bear spray to protect myself. As the 2 cubs sprinted down the hill, Mama got into a defensive position. As I just climbed through a pile of brush, I was pinned if the mama bear wanted to charge me. In response to her defensive position, I climbed on top of some of the brush to appear big and clapped and talked to her until she went away to find her babies. I tell ya, that one got my heart pumping. Now on to the real kit and caboodle of the whole thing, the western side of the mountain. I rejoin you at the first switchback on the main trail. From here, we will enter the beautiful tattoos of the earth. This is the side of the mountain I spend most of my time on. In the afternoons, the sun is shining on this side of the mountain, and the trails are less traveled, so they're more comfortable to walk on. If you take the straight route off the paved trail, it goes on for at least 2 miles. I also have not been to the end of this trail. I plan to make it there one day, but I just haven't had the time or the daylight to make it all the way to the back of that trail. as of yet, but I'll get there. I'll get there before I leave. But yeah, I've never hiked far enough to find the end of it. The farther you get on this side of the mountain, the more variability you have in your hike. As I draw this out for you, you'll be able to see that the options continue to expand the further into the woods you wander. Following the route that carries you to the higher elevation, you find the paved path that is now cleared off by the boulders on the other side. This trail has two close routes. The first on the path itself, or the second, which is just below the path, so you can walk on the natural ground of the forest. Same as the main trail, the farther back you go, the more it continues to expand into different offshoots, with switchbacks creating the ability to move to different elevations along the side of the mountain. When I am wandering around this side of the mountain, it is where I feel most connected to nature. You are far enough away from the suburb below that you can lose yourself in the forest. It is just you, the trees, and the animals. Quickly, all the stresses of life fade away, and you are left with a moment. A present space and time where your surroundings are all that matter to you. It clears my head, the woods fix my soul. That is my description of the small mountain that I sleep in the shadow of every night. A place where I find comfort yet solitude, enjoyment yet relaxation. These trails that you will never find on a map, but I know them like the back of my hand. The veins that cut across the earth, allowing you to connect your soul with Mother Nature around you. This little hill has become one of my favorite places, not only in Asheville, but that I have ever spent time at, and it will forever hold a special place in my heart. I am happy I was able to share it with you on this beautiful snowy day. Thank you for listening. I love you. Bye.